Hello and welcome to OverShadow Shadowcast with your host Thomas Anderson. Me again. It is I. So this was supposed to be a rather longer one than last time, but unfortunately things have become a little problematic with the lockdown where I am at the minute. I'm also not actually stuck in my house. I'm stuck outside of my house, which can make actually making these a little bit more difficult. But there has been a issue. We've had some difficulties because of the lockdown, and so this will not be as wide-ranging, as grand in scape as I'd been hoping. It's going to be a bit more of a small one again, which is a disappointment to me as well as it will be to anybody who likes to hear the sound of my voice. Brian? No, he's not there. So, first of all, I'm going to talk about what I've been playing and what I have been playing, some single player, because it's leaving the Game Pass shortly, in the next little while, a couple of days I'd imagine, has been Banner Saga. And I am thoroughly enjoying that game. The art style is individual, let's say. Some people hate it, some people like it, most tolerate it. But I found the lore, the Nordic style lore, to be fascinating. I found the gameplay mechanics to be difficult, but a little XCOM-like, tile sort of system, movement, attack. You've got all sorts of... The combat system is very like XCOM, but there's one key difference which we'll get to later. And the story is really quite grasping, as are the characters, but it's very much... It's very much like XCOM in sort of permadeath sort of way. You get fights and battles, but you also get choices outside of that. Now, XCOM's much more tactical. You make decisions that then directly affect the fights. It's based around the fights, whereas the fights come from the decisions you make in the wider story for Banner Saga. Banner Saga? For Banner Saga. And it's different. Because of that, it's, you can make a decision about who goes where just in a conversation, and then somebody gets a house dropped on them and they're no longer in your team. So it almost a little bit like a cross between sort of like Banner Saga. You could say something a little bit Slay the Spire-esque in there as well, from the point of view of you're supposed to make a decision and then you just live with it. You're not supposed to load it back up continually. So sort of like, a bit XCOM, a bit like that, but also a little bit like the Telltale games as well. You make decisions and then that people react to you in certain ways, and that defines how the story plays out across, I think it's 7 chapters. The characters are thoroughly gripping and you care about them all, but you know that you have to make good decisions because they will start dropping characters. They take several characters reasonably close to the beginning and just kill them off so you get the point. The combat system, I think, is a major component of the game, but it is secondary, and it's split into 2 types, which is just a sort of like skirmish battle and a war type scenario where you decide how difficult your personal battle is, and that then affects how many of the people that you have in your convoy, in your troop, how many soldiers, how many peasants called clansmen, and how many Varl. They're the giants, a race of giants in the game. How many of them end up dying. So there's different strategies you can take to those war elements to change that. In the actual fights themselves, you move each character in turn. So you get a move, you can move within a certain radius, and you then get an attack if you can hit someone. The boards as they are basically just grids like a chessboard, and pieces can't really move through each other unless they have a special ability to do that. And it's almost like every individual character has its own class. If that's not the case, it's 1 or 2, maybe 3 at a push, members of each class. That's it. And the people you have in your party, it's all very story based. It's not, you can't hire them, as it were, or recruit them. It's story based elements. And what you do is move these characters around in turns. So one difference to XCOM which is the closest comparison, is that for XCOM, your guys, everybody got a move. So it was your team's turn, then it was the enemy turn. In this, it's alternate, and it doesn't change based on how many people are in the team. So if you've got 5 to their 2, it's still one of your people, then one of theirs, then one of yours. Your guys get a go, depending upon the layout you've decided at the beginning, the order. But it's still you, then them, no matter what the number of combatants for each team, as it were, is. Until there's only one left, then it enters pillage mode. And then it's everybody in one team gets a go. Then it's the next team. But that's only when there's one enemy left. So basically it's to help you... I think it's to balance it, to stop you from getting obliterated by one enemy marching around the map, getting a turn every other go. It's not... That would be unfair. That would make it very, very difficult to finish the fights. The other part of the combat is that you get will. Now, willpower it allows you to augment. So you're able to use special abilities with it. You're able to also augment your normal abilities. So if you're moving around the map, you can move extra squares using up will. Or you can, if you're attacking, you can attack and do extra damage based on the amount of extra will you use. The two different stats that are most heavily relied on in battle, at least the sort of health as it were, is your armour and your strength. So your strength is your health meter and your armour is your armour. The armour preserves against attack, obviously. So if you try and attack a heavily armoured creature's strength, which is their health, then you'll basically do no damage. But if you take all the armour off, you'll do an awful lot more. And that damage can go from 1 to... I've seen a high... I think I saw 17 was the highest attack I could do. I've not seen anything with a greater health than 21. So that's quite an impressive difference. But primarily, I'm absolutely loving the story. And the lots of different... this has happened. And you get wee events. Like, what will I do? And when you're... The whole idea of Banner Saga is... The whole idea of it is that you're moving troops of people across a map to get away from the enemy, which is the dredge, which is these big sort of like metal stone monsters. And you have to balance your caravan's morale with your supplies to make sure you have enough food to get where you're going, but you don't want people to desert because of low morality, so you have to set up camp every now and again. And in battle, if you lose any people, they don't actually die permanently like they would in XCOM, they just get injuries. And you have to rest those away when you're camping, and that uses up your supplies. So it's a careful balance to try and do as well as you can. And I've had a couple of close shaves when it comes to supplies, but I seem to be okay now. I think I'm up to chapter 5, so I'm enjoying it, and I hope to get it finished before it comes off Game Pass. And I will let you know how it went once I'm finished, and if I want to get it to play it again. I do have the second one and the third one still on Game Pass, so if I enjoy it, I've got those at least. So that's all I've been playing, really. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, out with that, but a little bit of Halo, a little bit of Forza, all that sort of stuff, but just a little bit here or there. It's mostly been Banner Saga. Out with the issue that I've been having, or that we've been having here, because of the lockdown. The one story we're going to talk about just now is that there was a leak of The Last of Us 2 in late April, so a couple of weeks ago. There were leaks from The Last of Us 2, which at that time I don't think had released. They were being spread about the internet. Now Naughty Dog and Sony have come out denying all the rumours that a former employee was responsible for this leak. The leaks included cutscenes, level information and spoilers regarding the plot. Sony Interactive Entertainment have... they actually said specifically that they've caught the responsible party. They do refuse to reveal who it was. And in a statement from Sony Interactive Entertainment, it appears to be more than one individual who took part in the release of the spoiler information. So a former employee was responsible. They come out denying all rumours that a former employee was responsible. That doesn't actually rule out a current employee, which is interesting. And I'm not sure what the law is, if they would be able to come out and say that it wasn't a former employee, because if they're publicly traded companies, they have a responsibility to their shareholders, and I'm not sure if they would be allowed to come out and say that, because that could be seen as hiding. I mean, they would privately tell their shareholders the right thing, but I'm not sure if they would even risk it. So we'll see, and we'll see if it's even relevant. What they haven't done from the looks of it is deny the information. So it looks like the spoiler information is accurate. So if you're wanting to play this game, I would try and avoid the spoiler information, because it looks like it's actual information from The Last of Us 2. So that's all for this week. I do hope to be able to give you a proper full podcast next week. Fingers crossed again. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, you can like and subscribe underneath so you don't miss anything. You can also leave a comment. We'd love any comments that you can. You can also contact us at Gmail at overshadow.shadowcast@gmail.com. We do have a Facebook page, but like we've been saying, that's only going to be used once we're actually making gameplay videos. And we hope to see you next week for a full, fingers crossed, full podcast. See ya.